Starting with the wrong drone can either get you hooked for life or make you swear off flying forever. Trust me, I've tested both ends of that spectrum. That was supposed to be a scenic shot of the beach, but instead it became an aerial reenactment of the Titanic. So if you're a beginner trying to pick the right mini drone in 2025, this video is going to save you some time, money, and maybe a few crashes. And yes, I'll give you a clear winner at the end based on real world use. G'day friends, my name is Brett and I've been a professional photographer and videographer for around 10 years, which basically means I've spent a decade trying to explain to family members that yes, I do have a real job. And I help beginner creators get cinematic results without the pro gear price tag, and today we're looking at two of the most talked about entry-level drones on the market, the DJI Mini 4K and the Potensic Atom 2. Links to both drones are in the description, and if you're serious about making your footage look amazing, grab my free cinematic starter kit down there as well. It's packed with Lightroom presets, editing tips and beginner flight tricks. So let's start with what most people check first, which is the price. But cheaper isn't always better unless you're getting legitimate value, or unless you're at a buffet. Then cheaper is always better. Now both of these drones are budget friendly. The DJI Mini 4K comes in at $299 US, while the Potensic Atom 2 comes in at $339, and in the Fly More combo it's $449 versus $459, so there's not much difference in price. But the verdict is DJI Mini 4K wins this one. It's slightly cheaper and you're not giving up much to save the cash. Okay, round two, camera quality. Here's the deal, if your footage doesn't look good, you won't feel good flying. So which camera actually gives you that cinematic look? The DJI Mini 4K records, you guessed it, in 4K, but it's capped at 30 frames a second, and still that's more than enough for beautiful, smooth cinematic shots. It has a 0.3 inch sensor, which is very decent for a drone of this size. And the Potensic Atom 2 also shoots in 4K, but the footage has slightly more sharpening and less dynamic range. It has a very slightly smaller 1/2 inch sensor, which is still impressive. It's just a touch more processed than the Mini 4K. So the verdict for this round is DJI gets the tick for this one if you're picky about color grading and want cleaner footage. But honestly, most beginners will love either of these drones at this point. Okay, now for round three, GPS and stability. Now, nothing kills confidence like a drifting drone, and this is where beginners either feel in control or panic. Both of these drones have GPS and return to home, but in the real world test, the Atom 2 locked onto satellites faster and held its position more solidly, even in light wind. The Mini 4K can sometimes drift before it stabilizes, especially in tricky spots. So the verdict for this one is a tick for the Atom 2. It feels more locked in, especially handy if you're just learning the sticks. Okay, round four, the app experience. You'll spend more time in the app than you think, and a clunky one can seriously ruin the fun. The DJI Fly app is more polished, no surprises there. It's user-friendly, intuitive and stable. The Potensic app has improved a lot, but it's very different to DJI. If you're used to DJI, it might feel like a little bit jarring, kind of like driving a car with the gas pedals on the roof. So the verdict for this one is that DJI gets the tick. Round five, flight time. Now what about battery life, because nothing's worse than setting up the perfect shot and then running out of juice. DJI claims 31 minutes, Potensic claims 32, which in drone terms is basically both shouting, "I win," while they both land at exactly the same time. So the verdict for this one is a tie. Round six is controller experience. Now this might be the biggest surprise of the video. The better controller isn't from DJI. And this might surprise you, but when it comes to the controller, the Potensic Atom 2 actually wins the round for me. The DJI Mini 4K uses the standard RC N1 controller, and it's solid, responsive, and if you've flown any other DJI own, it feels familiar. But it can feel a bit cramped with larger phones, and the cable setup, while clean, still needs to be plugged in and wrapped correctly. And that's not a deal breaker, but it adds a little bit of friction. The Potensic controller, on the other hand, is a sleeper hit. It feels bigger in the hand, more spaced out. It can hold screens up to 7 inches, no problem. It's kind of like the controller version of stretchy pants. You don't think you need them until you do. There's no weird squeezing or struggling to fit your phone. It just works, and the controller feels just as responsive in flight. And the verdict here is honestly, Potensic nailed this controller. It's more comfortable, fits larger phones or small tablets easily, and it just feels like they thought about usability for beginners at the start. So surprise win, Atom 2 takes the point on this one. Now before you hit buy on either of these drones, there's one beginner feature most people skip, and it can literally save your drone from crashing. And this feature is called beginner mode. Both DJI and Potensic let you lock in your speed, altitude and flight range so you don't accidentally send your drone into the next suburb. And you should also do this one thing as much as you can, which is practice return to home. Just 10 minutes in an open field tapping that return to home function, it's the single most underrated skill for new pilots. If you get that down early, you'll fly with way more confidence. So which one should you actually get? If I had to start from scratch as a beginner in 2025, here's what I'd do. If you're after premium footage, cleaner color, and a more polished experience, go with the DJI Mini 4K. And here's why it stands out. Number one, it's got wider recognition and trust. DJI is the name most people know, and that trust matters when you're new and nervous. Number two, it has a better camera for editing. It has a slightly better color science and dynamic range, which means your footage will look nicer straight out of the camera. And it gives you more flexibility if you want to try color grading later on. Number three, it has a smoother app experience. The DJI Fly app just works. No quirks, no weird bugs. It helps beginners learn without frustration. Number four, there's an easy upgrade path. If you start with the Mini 4K, you can easily upgrade to the Air 3S or the Mavic 4 Pro, and the software and the app all looks the same and everything has the same look and feel. And Potensic's lineup just isn't that deep as yet. But hey, I love an underdog. Rocky was an underdog, and Potensic might be the Rocky of drones, minus the sweat, the punching, and the motivational 80s soundtrack. But if comfort, controller feel, and rock solid GPS stability matter more to you, the Potensic Atom 2 is a killer beginner drone as well. And hey, if after watching this you're leaning towards the Atom 2, I've done a deeper dive into it right here. It's got some surprising features that go way beyond its price tag, so I'll see you in that one.